It's a call that parents dread, hearing that your child is injured. But imagine learning that your child is injured beyond repair. That was the reality for our next guests.
My husband and my 3 sons live in Topanga Canyon in the Santa Monica Mountains. It's a very rural environment. It's very wild and free. About 1.5 years ago, Teddy, my youngest, climbed higher than he had before and slipped and fell about 20 to 30 feet, taking the full brunt of the impact on his head. His skull was broke open and smashed to pieces, and his brain was exposed to the creek, which meant that he was at high risk for brain infection. Every second was so critical.
He was panting and moaning, and there's a sort of low gurgling coming from his throat.
I took off in that helicopter. Oh my God. We got to the hospital, and they had told me he was going into neurosurgery right away. We then sat together and cried for 3 hours until they came out. And the very first thing we were told, that Teddy was going to live. He said, this is miraculous that this child has survived. They had removed 45% of the skull, all of the area around where the brain was damaged. He then told us Teddy would make 100% recovery, but he told us that it would take him till about age 18, that we would probably be in hospital for about 2 years, that he had suffered massive brain damage to his frontal and his parietal lobe, and that he was paralyzed and couldn't speak, and we didn't know if he could breathe on his own. After about 2 or 3 days, he started to come out of the coma. And then he moved a finger. Shortly after that, they got him on his feet. A couple of months later, they admitted him into another neurosurgery to reconstruct his skull. And they said that they were pleased with the results. We thought that was that.
After a couple of months, it was quite clear that the bone was dissolving and it wasn't being replaced with new bone as we'd hoped.
And then the inevitable happened. He took off his helmet one day, and when the brothers were having water balloon fights, and a water balloon hit the side of his head where there was no bone. The skin touched the brain and triggered a seizure. And the next thing I knew, we were back in a helicopter being airlifted back to the hospital.
We knew we had to find a solution immediately.
He couldn't live like this, he would die like this. We started researching like crazy, and that's when we came across Mark Urada. They could 3D print a plate of Teddy's skull from a 3D scan that would fit perfectly, like a jigsaw puzzle that would slot right into this gap in his head. My husband and I decided that this was our only option and our only hope.
We're here with Lisa Dan and Chief of Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery at Children's Hospital Los Angeles and USC, Dr. Mark Urada. Thank you. Tell everyone how Teddy's doing today.
Teddy's doing amazing. I mean, he went from being completely paralyzed, not being able to breathe, not being able to speak or move. In the space of when everyone else was having a great summer, he was relearning how to live, and he got back. And it's a struggle still. It's not, you know, plain sailing, but he's, thanks to Dr. Mark Urada in Children's Hospital Los Angeles, he's living a healthy, normal life.
It seems like he does like biking.
He likes everything.
And that's what we want to touch on. So, Dr. Urada, tell us a little bit more how you got Teddy back in the game and how you used this new 3D printing to recreate a skull that was missing.
So this is an actual skull model of Teddy's, and this was printed off of a CAT scan. And one of the things that we do now is we will take this model, and on a computer, we will design an implant that will fit into this. And the implant's made out of something called PEEK, or polyether ether ketone, which is essentially a plastic. And that plastic material has many of the same properties as a normal skull bone. Like the printers you have at home or at work, instead of printing with ink, this prints with plastic in a very detailed fashion.
Really quickly, as Teddy grows, this is obviously a 3D implant. Does it
grow
at all? I mean,
skull?
obviously it doesn't grow the way normal bone does, but is it set up in a way that it can actually work with a moving skull or a growing skull?
We were fortunate because of Teddy's age. So about 70% of brain growth and thus skull growth occurs by the age of 18 months of age. And then between 18 months and about 7 years is the remaining 30 or 20%. So that means that his skull is more or less completely
pretty
formed.
close to where it's going to be.
That's right,
So
and that
should
allowed
be
us to use this plastic.